When identity is lost and the color of a once bright soul is faded, the question lingers, what remains? When victims of abuse find themselves away from the tension and danger of a lifestyle so drilled into them, they reflect on the collapse that has taken place. The emotions come out of her shell. The numbers turns to floodgates. Safety in the physical world brings unrest in the emotional one, as everything that was unfelt begins to catch up to her. In the shock of it all she can do is question herself, her identity. Her self-worth, her purpose. These questions produce self-prescribed answers of severe depression, dissociation, and emptiness. A painful void as the victim is caught in transition between the person she was and who she is to become. Her entire identity needs to be reorganized. The wires that have held her together her whole life must be untangled and replaced. Her identity was functional, for it was built to survive the most dark circumstances. But when the environment is taken away, the identity and survival instincts no longer serve her and only create unsustainable paranoia in safe circumstances, as the stillness is met with sheer confusion. And so, in this void, the grieving process begins. Non-linear, unpredictable, a different kind of grief. The grief of a survivor. It comes in stages, 9 to be exact, as the victim has to relive all her trauma in order to rediscover her colors and become whole once again. The process happens step by step as space opens up in her mind to access these reflections. If they came all at once, it would be too much. So the nervous system releases material gradually, sending waves to sweep at her. The first stage marks a feeling of excitement, relief. She's safe now, and the lifestyle of constantly looking over her shoulder must now come to an end. Freedom has been achieved, and deep, calm breaths can now be taken. All the fear is dropped in what seems like an instant. Euphoria commences as she feels the weight has been taken from her shoulders. The victory dance is accompanied by a bright smile, and hope for a prosperous future and a fresh start takes over her starry eyes. The worst is over, she says. The relief is not happiness, it's the absence of threat. She didn't realize the tension she was in until she was out of it. My brain finally has the time to address it. The feeling of relief is the calm that follows emergency, not stability. Adrenaline decreases. The sympathetic nervous system, responsible for the fight or flight reactions, becomes disengaged. The nervous system realizes it's unthreatened during the stage, but it is far from being regulated. Stage 2 brings forth a shadow, blockading her emotions with a fog. The fog brings emotional flatness, dissociation, severe difficulty accessing memories and feelings, and a strange neutrality towards what happened. The emotional numbness is a protective shutdown as the brain feels it's too much to handle, and so it freezes, dampening its emotional processing, suppressing limbic activity, which is neurologically responsible for emotional and memory regulation, which directly influences how we respond to and process our experiences. And so when the brain cuts it off, the feeling is inaccessible. The brain sends its numbing agent to ensure protection of itself for now. At this stage, the system knows it cannot go through all the feelings at once, leaving the victim reaching for feelings that have dissolved in the air. Stage 3. Rage brings intense anger as the victim's eyes have been opened. The realization produces extreme anger that they project in multiple trajectories. The rage is often the first real emotional truth to break through, as the victim holds anger, moral outrage, bitterness towards the abuser for their actions, also towards others, people around her who didn't help or couldn't see. The anger is also directed towards themselves. Self-blame commences as they interrogate why they let this happen and why they didn't leave sooner. Neurologically, amygdala activation increases part of the brain responsible for detecting danger and emotional processing. With this activation, the stored threat memory becomes accessible, exposing the victim to the confronting truth that she was brutally abused. These intense feelings crucially only come to light in safety. This is because it was too dangerous to feel while in the relationship. Expressed rage would have threatened danger, and so the anger is not regression, it's reclaimed agency. Flipping the accessible emotions completely on their heads, this new stage brings intense feelings of cravings for the abuser. It's the most misunderstood stage, obviously, as people around her will ask why she misses someone who hurt her so deeply, often bringing shame from close ones. In this stage, the victim begins to grieve the abuser. Victims in this stage are craving the version of the abuser who appeared in reconciliation, when he was kind, loving, helpful, as opposed to destructive. The moments of softness, remorse, and intimacy, the hope that it gave her, that birthed possibility for greener grass together, hope that she held on to, for it gave her strength to carry on with him. The brain was conditioned to bond with intermittent safety, which would strengthen the reliance on it over time, making the cruelty excused and overlooked. And so during the stage, those feelings return towards him, producing internal questioning within her mind. Doubt, shame, guilt, all products of this deeply confusing state, all emotions that were usually regulated by the abuse. Well, now she is left to deal with it all on her own, making cravings even more intense, as the unfamiliarity of standing alone creates intense longing for what is familiar. The victim at this stage is grieving the relationship, for it was the meaning that gave towards her suffering, the intensity, and the feeling of being needed, producing dopamine circulations and oxytocin releases to trigger bonding sensations and deep emotional longing for what has been beaten into her. Following directly the intense feelings of longing comes one of the most painful stages, doubt, as victims are left with their judgments severely clouded. Their feelings produce thoughts. They doubt themselves, they doubt their memories, their interpretations, and whether it was their right to leave. This stage occurs because in their minds, the abuse is still not fully recognized or accepted, which when combined with their longing for the abuser, creates the intense doubt in the absence of clarity. Clarity that is so hard to access because of how confronting it is. It takes time to fully accept the abuse, because fully accepting the abuse means acceptance of the fact that it was real, unjustified, and that it has deeply affected them. Extremely uncomfortable and confronting realities to process. So the mind has to give it in doses and dim down the intensity to lessen the pain. A temporal fix to buy more time. But in its absence, it forms confusion of the direction she is going in. With the dimming itself, the brain minimizes trauma to reduce stress. Memory reconciliation blurs out the extremes of what happened. And so the attachment circuits, so used to caring and being with the abuser, still remain and compete with her consciousness for control. The mentioned absence of clarity reveals itself in the next stage, as victims are confronted with the truth. The mask is pulled off, only tears remain. The victim recognizes the events that have occurred. This clarity becomes healing, despite how confronting it is. The victim's reflection clears the fog. The cycle she has been a slave to begins to make sense. The self-blame decreases. The anger narrows and becomes more precise. The reality becomes stable as victims realize they are away from what happened. But the self remains unstable as they realize she is built to survive in a reality that is no longer there, creating a paradox of realizing she was abused. This paradox collapses the very reality she's had to stand on for years, unveiling it before her very eyes. The very nature of desperation and survival kept them functional. But now it's no longer needed, and so clarity brings stability in certain areas. There is no coherence as the reality becomes acceptable once processed. The self-blame is dropped and replaced with acceptance of themselves and their situation. The confusion of fog is replaced with clear skies of vision. However, intense winds come in as they realize the length of the task ahead. On the contrary to all of this, comes the dropping of the fantasy that fueled persistence within the relationship. the very intense coping mechanisms that were held onto desperately. Excuses used to protect sanity and shield the pain. It all comes crashing down as Clarity pulls the plug on her optimistic beliefs and exposes abuse for the disgusting violation that it is, leaving victims in a void to pick up the pieces of her broken soul, leaving her with a severe sense of meaninglessness and emotional freefall. The victim loses someone real in her ex-partner, but also someone imaginary in who she thought he was. The Clarity stage requires holding two truths simultaneously, meaning victims must accept the fact that that person she loved didn't exist as she believed him to. A realization deeply destabilizing. The relationship was built on potential, not reality. Her fantasy of that was held so intimately in her heart. She fell in love with it. She couldn't survive without it. And so letting go feels like killing hope itself, drowning a part of her soul, leaving her in a state of deep instability as she is tasked to grieve all of the loss. She must learn to let go of the role that organized her identity and the purpose within that. Her worth used to be measurable through sacrifice. It was determined by him and his actions. Her identity was structured around it, no matter how painful it was. And so, with Clarity comes identity destabilization. A void left by the absence of what gave her purpose, and no seen direction on where to go to for help. The old identity collapses before the new one is formed, while at the same time, Clarity is perhaps the harshest phase, as painful realizations are made. See, Clarity doesn't just expose the abuser, it also exposes just how much the victim gave. All the chances given, all the heart she showed, all the tears. A beautiful rose, innocent, loving, built to give, was neglected, starved, bruised, pushed away, over and over again. When the colors faded, the petals fell. He stole a piece of her, all while she lined up with more to give. Haunting realizations. Realizations of the amount of personal boundaries that were crossed. Realizations of just how much they minimized themselves for someone who spat in their face as response. The moral injury of these realizations produces shame, self-hate, and grief as two realizations combine. This takes time to digest. The attachment is gone, but there is no replacement, leading to quick fixes in the absence of what regulated their emotions. But the grief needs time and care to resolve these scars, despite desperation for the unbearable pain to pass. Neurobiologically, dopamine and oxytocin is replaced by cortisol spikes, trading purpose and bond for uncertainty at this stage. The victim is alone with these issues, often craving what is familiar, but to move on in a healthy manner, she must find a new way to live. Without abuse, she again questions her purpose. Anxiety, emptiness, and panic plague her mind, as clarity and realization reveal how damaging the situation was, closing the door on the hope she held previously. All that's left is confrontation. It forces grief without hope of revision. It means the past cannot be redeemed. The clarity removes the confusion that was used as a numbing tool. And so this is where emotions become deeply intense. It makes the situation way more personal. The pain cuts deep as she realizes it was all real. It hurts so deep, but it's the indicator for healing to commence as victims begin to come to terms with it all, step by step. Feeling it all heals the trauma within. Addressing it, comforting it, nurturing what has been broken, and replacing what led to abuse with a new way of living, a new identity, something that takes time, care, and attention. During this phase, victims are in an awkward transition state between the old way of life, fueled by coping mechanisms and desperation to survive, and the new way, which hasn't been developed yet. And so this feels deeply destabilizing from within her perspective, because the clarity has dismantled the meaning before it can be replaced. It's removed the attachment before new forms of regulations have been formed. It exposes the loss in full force, meaning the pain is unbearable. It ends illusion without establishing safety, and it forces identity reconstruction while mid-grief, making the grieving process of abuse that much more layered and tragic and overwhelming. The clarity is so destabilizing not because it's harmful, but because it tells the truth faster than the nervous system can handle, meaning there is no lead out. The victim is hit all at once. It's not a breakdown, however. It's structural demolition of the roots that have been so deeply ingrained before rebuilding can take place. There is so much to digest. There is so much to feel. It all takes time. Stability hence returns by building a self that no longer needs illusion to survive. The identity needs rebuilding, brick by brick. The emotions need to be felt, layer by layer. Rooting directly from the clarity stage comes collapse. Victims are overwhelmed by what has been exposed to them. They become depressed, exhausted, unmotivated, empty, and deeply confused by their identity. These feelings are rooted from grieving the role they once had. Being the fixer meant being needed. Being central to someone else's survival meant having a clear purpose. It wasn't just a relationship, it was a clear function. But now, it's all gone, and the victim collapses into a pit of sadness. The collapse is a result to loss of meaning, leaving the nervous system in a state of low energy, and the body can now rest after prolonged hyperarousal and intensity. This stage is post-survival fatigue, as things have begun to set in. The 8th stage brings resilience, as the dust begins to settle and the trauma has been processed. Self-trust is built again after years of mistrust. Boundaries once broken down again and again begin to feel possible, and a quiet sense of agency begins to form. Her love has now been rebuilt, and she starts to feel normal again. The mind feels clearer and more at peace, a stable foundation that she can now build from. A brighter flower can now grow. Stage 9, the final stage, the final push. It brings a new perspective that all previous stages have led towards. It's somber, it's quiet, it's tragic, as the victim realizes how much they have lost. So much was taken so ruthlessly, and she has a deeper reflection on it all. The wider perspective from the extensive processing reveals more loss. It shifts the priority of what matters, as she realizes she's not who she used to be. The grief settles in and becomes a quiet silence, as she pays tribute to who she was before the abuse. A quiet grief, completing the cycle, calming the storm.